Welcome to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlandson and I ask my guests one simple question. Why? Focusing on the importance of why, I share with you the relatable, uplifting and inspiring conversations I have with people from all walks of life. This podcast will encourage you to focus on your why to enable and empower you to achieve the success you desire. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Today on the Focus on Why podcast, I am joined by Melissa Curran. Melissa, welcome.
Good morning. Hello, Amy. Hi.
Well, Melissa is the founder of the Modern Mind Group, and I'm very keen to find out what that means.
Well, the Modern Mind Group itself is a company that it's essentially all about your personal development and people's personal development. And what I mean by that is that it's not just about the technical skills that we have to do the jobs that we do and the qualifications that we have. It's also about our emotional development, our mental development as well. And also within the company, whilst we're an accredited CPD training provider, it's also offering online counselling. So I work as an online counsellor and really spend time to help others find that self-empowerment, understand themselves better so that they can live happier, healthier lives. From a training perspective, it may be that I work with certain businesses or organisations to consult on setting up mental health and wellbeing programs. It could be training their staff and their leaders to be better at understanding the signs and symptoms of mental health conditions. But not that we're looking to diagnose or anything like that. It's just to be more aware of them. And also to understand what it means to maybe communicate with someone a lot more on an emotional level or an emotional intelligence level so that you can create an environment of trust and openness with your team. Because what tends to happen is that if that trust is not there, or when it's not there, they won't open up to their managers and their leaders. They'll start looking for other jobs. They'll phone in sick. They will tell everybody else how unhappy they are, but you won't necessarily know. Or the productivity, actually, you'll see the productivity of what that person's doing start to slip. So it's really about understanding humans, understanding people, being better people leaders, people, and understanding yourself. So that's sort of what I do. I'm also a motivational speaker, and I also run a podcast and host a podcast as well. So there's many different channels to what I do. It's really about educating, inspiring, and motivating others to move forward in whatever way that may be.
And when did you found the Modern Mind Group?
It was last October, and really what sort of happened, It's quite an emotional story for me because it's been quite a journey with my own mental health since I was 18, really. But over the last 5 years, it's really taught me much more about myself. And what happened, I tragically lost my dad. He collapsed of heart attack or stroke whilst myself and my now husband were in the house. Went through a very traumatic 24 hours. Unfortunately, he couldn't be saved. But I'd never lost a loved one like that. I'd lost loved ones through cancer, through, very lifelong illness, but never in such a way that the trauma that you see and the things that you go through, it's not just as simple as pushing them aside and pushing them away. And when you live through something like that, you start to see life very, very differently. So whilst I've suffered with anxiety, many different adversities and challenges that I've had to overcome in my life since I was 18, it was that kind of pulled the rug from under me. And I was in a job where I am training, I'm developing, I'm helping other people develop. I'm a business consultant, management consultant across the UK, and then went to do that in Europe. And when you're trying to help other people, everything in your life is flipped upside down, and you're putting the smile on and you're going at it day after day, if you're not dealing with those emotions and you're putting them down somewhere, it is going to manifest itself into physical symptoms. It will very, very quickly. I was suffering panic attacks while I was flying just to Paris. It's only a 45-minute flight. I don't even know, it might even be quicker than that. I was having panic attacks because I was just moving through life very, very quickly without understanding my own values and my own self. I'm an emotional and intelligent person, but the person I was neglecting was me and my mental health. Ultimately, that's what I was doing. I was pushing my priorities and the things that I felt about myself and my well-being aside for others. And whilst that's a great thing to do, Amy, and as people that want to help other people, this is what we do. That's great. But if there's nothing left in your cup, you can't keep going. So, burnout, depression, anxiety, phobias, these things happened. I had counseling of my own for 6 months, and it taught me so much and opened up so much of my own life and the way I feel about myself, my self-confidence. I found out my why a lot more from finding out those values. So I trained as a counsellor. I felt that what I was doing in training and development was fantastic. It was great. I was changing people's lives already. It just added that layer of, well, hang on a minute, how can we look after people or help people a little bit more? Whilst I'm talking very much on the podcast right now, it's how do I listen that little bit more? How do I listen to the unsaid things that are going on in a person's life? So that's I suppose that's really my why I do what I do. And after going through all of this, I just really wanted to set up a company that I know in my heart will help other people and does make a difference on a one-on-one situation as well as in a classroom situation, to inspire, motivate, help people to think about some of the things that they're doing. Also from a business perspective, it's big revenue. It's not the goal. It's not, you don't go into it going, I want to make money from this wellbeing program. That's not the right way to look at it. It's, I want to improve the lives of people. I want to make a difference to the team and the people that I have. I want my leaders and managers to really empathize and understand the people that they're working with for the best performance. And when you do all those things and you implement that plan, you will get growth, you will get revenue. If you follow your heart and do things for the right reasons, there's an abundance of things that come back. So that's really, well, you can feel my passion, I'm sure, in what I'm saying. And it's what I live day in, day out. That's what I want to do. And yeah, maybe I'm one person that wants to change the world, but the more people that I help, the more people that get involved, the sooner we can make those changes.
And how receptive are companies to having you on board?
Well, it's an interesting one because you'll work with a company and they'll want an answer and some advice. The chat and everyone's very receptive to that because they're seeking a solution. The challenge comes when you're looking at a wellbeing program and you've said, here, okay, let me explain it like this. If I was going to help you get a gold medal, I'd set out a plan for 10 years and say, Amy, this is what's going to happen in year 1, this is what's going to happen in year 2, then we're going to do this, you're going to need to get up at 5 o'clock every day and go training. And everyone loves that plan. It's the execution that becomes a challenge. And that's where you have to be an honest business consultant and a person, again, that has the emotional intelligence to connect with other leaders or heads of organizations in a boardroom setting and say, guys, this works. What are the barriers or the roadblocks to making those changes and implementing those things that occur? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about changing lives. We're talking about growth. We're talking about increased revenue. We're talking about keeping your best people. and not having them go somewhere else. We're talking about having a culture that engages people so much that it can feel like you're part of the New Zealand All Blacks. That's what it's about. If anyone was going to have a culture and they want to have an amazing team of people, you look at them as a sports team and what they achieve together, because it's not, and I always say this, it's not about the rugby, it's about the people and the camaraderie and the team, and they won't leave any man behind, and they take care of the I's and the T's, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. How do you get that? And for me, I find business leaders or heads of companies start to lose sight of that being possible. So they'll say things such as, oh, but it doesn't really work down in Cornwall. It's not really like that there. Or, yeah, in the Northwest, they're just not that happy. They're just not those types of people. I'm like, wow, you're telling me, let's rewind. What happened to those people 5 years ago that made them unhappy? Because they've been in your organization for a lot longer than that. Why? Yes, we're on the start of why. Something happened along the way where they got promised this amazing business to maybe be a part of, and somewhere along that journey they lost faith, and they're there going through this day in, day out because they want to support their families, they want to be able to pay their bills, buy their house. Something happened to that individual that came in smiling, beaming, ready to change the world, be part of something new. And maybe they were sold false hope. Maybe after a year or two, they realized that the things that they said and the feedback that they give to a company didn't matter anymore. Or that the manager that they were speaking to belittled them in all of the meetings that they went to. Or that when they raised their voice to say that they were unhappy about something that was happening next to them, no one listened. So it's a big topic. It's not something that changes overnight. It's possible though. And that's where I come in. I am an idealist. A lot of people will say I can be a realist. Let's be real about what we can do now and what we can do. But I am an idealist. And I think you've got to go into a situation feeling like, what is the best possible outcome that I can get? Here's another way of explaining it. Every time I look at a challenge or a goal in my life, I will say, I want to aim for the stars, hit the moon, not aim for the moon, hit the stars. Because setting a goal that is way beyond where you want to be, you will get much further down that line. Set a big, fat, aspirational goal that is bigger than you, bigger than people, bigger than just going for a run for 5K or something, and set that goal so high that you're going to get there, but it's going to be difficult.
And why is it important for you to speak out so passionately about this?
Because there's so many people that voices don't get heard, that aren't influential, that won't speak up, that are scared to step out because, well, what if I get fired? What if I lose my job? What if nobody talks to me? What about the stigma regarding my mental health? If I start to say I'm worried or stressed at work, people are going to treat me differently. These things, I've been through it. I've lived through it. It's happened. I've been in, I didn't go to university. I didn't do it. Every course, everything that I have ever done or worked towards, I've done it for a reason. I suppose that's something we could potentially talk about as well. I've done it for a reason, with purpose and with passion, and I've done it alongside my career. So I've been working in the business world since I was 16 years old. That's going to be 20 years tomorrow. And there have been so many times in my career where I've been made to feel out of place, undervalued, and I'm not saying I'm the only one. Of course I'm not. There's so many more people out there that go through this and have these things that are happening. The challenge that you have is that the C-suite, no one else can see me, but my hands are going up all over the place here, guys. The C-suite and what happens on the front line, the perception of what is going on at the top of the organization and what is happening on the front line of the business can be very, very different. I'll give you an example. Someone said to me the other day, or I think what you're saying, Melissa, said it quite outright to me, what you're saying is very harsh and is very broad. I think it's unfair. And all of my managers have always been great. And they've always spent time with their people. And I can see Amy's face smirking at this one. And I responded back with, okay, I'm glad you've had that experience. I'm mindful of the words always and every time, because every time can become a tick box exercise and always doesn't exist. So in my experience, only in organizations I've worked with and businesses that I've been a part of, there has only been 25% of the managers or leaders that spend time with their people to understand what's going on. And I created the Canary Concept. It's very much about improving mental health and well-being through 8 key principles. If you put a canary into a dark mine that is, there for the safety of others, and it comes out, it's covered in soot, it's not singing anymore, you put that canary in that mine. So canaries only sing in good environments. If you have only 25% of your managers spending time with your people to understand them, and you can't save canaries if you don't know they're in the mine. And I also say this in terms of a lifeguard. I can't stop you from drowning if I don't know you're in the pool. So why am I so busy when I'm a people manager not spending time with my people? So I'm so passionate about this. We put a time on this podcast, but I could probably talk about it all day, Amy. There has to be change.
And there's so many different strands that I could pick up on just from what you were just saying, and from the sort of unconscious bias that sort of the C-suite have to the stigma that surrounds mental health. There are different strands there. I think what I'd like to do is how can you remove those barriers? How can you remove that stigma?
It starts with just understanding we all have mental health. That's it. It's not about diagnosis. It's not about putting someone in a box and saying you have a mental illness. The World Health Organization are very cautious of putting diagnosis and they don't really want to call it a disorder, because it labels something. It's about coaching your people through dark times. That's it. It's about understanding them and wanting the best for them, so that no matter what is going on outside of work, they come in and they can be honest with you, and you can help them you can help them forget about it for those 8-9 hours that they're with you in that day, maybe longer if they're a dedicated worker. And that's a point as well. Presenteeism. You could probably ring up my last company and ask about my sickness record, or the times that I rung up and said I can't do this today. It didn't happen. In my head, I said I can't do this today, and I still got up. My body felt like it was absolutely broken and exhausted. I put on my makeup, I did my hair, and I went into work. I had no one to talk to about it. I had some great leaders. But the last thing you want to do is open up about that when you're about to do a seminar for maybe 20 other people. So the way that we can reduce the stigma is definitely by talking about it more, being aware of mental health as a whole, what the classifications are. So there are 5 major classifications of mental health disorders. It's understanding them, not labeling them. And then it's adding people skills into that. So the Canary Concept, which I've created, basically combines the psychological aspects and emotional intelligence of leader characteristics with mental health awareness. That's why I wanted to do this, because in the market today, there are mental health awareness courses that say you need to know this, this, and this. And then there's leadership courses. To me, those two are very, very combined. How can you lead people if there isn't an understanding of emotional well-being, even for yourself? If you don't understand yourself, how can you lead others?
So you're aligning the sort of the human DNA with the company DNA, and sort of understanding that they are combined, that they need to coexist, and that you can't expect someone to be on their A game every day?
No, you can't expect someone to be on their A game every day. You can help them feel like they want to be, and you can help them tell you it's okay to tell someone, I feel absolutely horrendous this morning. How am I going to get through this day? And for your manager to turn around and say, because you know you can do it, Melissa, but I tell you what, we need to have a chat. Because if that's how you're feeling, let's make sure we have proper time this week to really catch up on what's going on for you. An element of the Canary Concept, and it comes under communication, and it's about goal setting. In business, we can be really, really objective. So what I'd suggest to anyone listening is to set up a non-objective meeting with your team on a weekly basis, or a bi-weekly basis, as long as it's happening at least twice a month, right? What's on your mind? A WOYM meeting. This is your time. Tell me what you want. It's free. It doesn't matter. It's not going on a HR record. What do you want to say? What's on your mind? I want to listen to you.
And what sort of time frame does that take before people can start freely speaking?
It should happen straight away. It should happen straight away. If you're the right person to be asking those questions and your team know that you care, don't just do it because you have to do it. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because just that 30 minutes or even 20 minutes by asking someone what's on their mind may make a massive difference to their entire day, their entire week. If they say, actually, I don't have anything on my mind today, life is good. Wow, you just asked a brilliant question. You aligned with the fact that they're feeling great. Boom, brilliant, move on. Or say, well, you know what? Just remember, if there is anything, just let me know, okay? You know you can always talk to me or pick up the phone. Brilliant, thanks, move on. You may get someone that you ask that question to and they fall to pieces. Absolutely cry. And we have to find a way to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And those uncomfortable conversations lead to the best life experiences for you as a manager and for that person as an individual. And having a coach or someone that can help and talk to you about that and empower you to ask the right questions and not be scared of the answer, is a powerful position to put anyone into. That's what I would say on that.
So are you speaking to employees right now, or are you speaking to the C-suite? Who are you talking to everyone and saying this is possible?
So yes, I'm saying to managers out there now, if you are listening, and a lot of the time they're not talking to their people either through lack of self-awareness and time management of maybe their own tasks. They might be burning themselves out. To the managers that are scared to have conversations or to cross that barrier because of their own self-belief, then come do a training session, spend some time with me. You want to have a one-on-one session, or you want to do maybe a training course, you can do the Canary Concept. I was doing that as a workshop that I was delivering, and you can be certified in it. It's going to be online within the next couple of months, so that's an opportunity for anyone that is working from home. They can do it from your home. And for the C-suite, my conversation to you is just get in touch. Let's have an honest conversation about what you're doing for your employees right now. Let's be clear about what's working and what's not working. You can throw all of the yoga classes at people. It's great, don't get me wrong. Give people a physical, mental, spiritual outlet. Give them those things. But they're not going to fix the stuff that's being unsaid, because it's about conversation and communication more than anything. And noticing what's going on, and then come back to it. Is it work? Ask yourself, is this working? Also, if you're using I don't mean to say it, but it's honest. If you're using a company that is, or someone that's there that is meant to be helping you with those things, and you've been paying them and you're not getting the results that you want to achieve for your people, don't just renew the contract because it's the easy thing to do because you've been working with someone in a partnership. Find the answers for your people, because that's why you set up that business. Nobody, nobody should go into a business just thinking, oh, I want to make a load of money. It's not. It's about your people. So.
And with the importance of people, what do you go around and do your professional speaking and motivational speaking? Where do you do that?
On this, a lot of it at the moment is on podcasting. It was very much based on seminars and manager kind of conferences that I was doing that for the last 5 years. So it wasn't anything. It's not that I was being necessarily a paid and booked speaker. It was for the clients that we had. Although I'm open to do that. If you like the things that I'm talking about now and you want me to talk about that, I can. I talk about some of the experiences that I've gone through myself. And from an awareness perspective of mental health, I can be very open about a lot of the emotional stories and things that I've gone through. You want to rally people against, towards goals, towards achieving performance. I can also do that and uplift too. It's up to you. If there's someone out there now that likes what I'm saying and wants to get me involved, then go for it. I'm not one that likes to, and Amy, I told you this at the beginning. I'm not one that speaks for me. I speak for others. That's why I do what I do, and I don't. It's not about what I achieve. And yes, I've created this, and yes, I'm doing these things. I'm doing it for other people, and I'm getting quite emotional saying that, but that is the truth. If you really want to make a difference to people and you want to book me as a speaker, I'll stand on that stage and I'll be as honest as you want me to be with the people that are there, because we move people through stories. We move people through real life experiences and helping people see that there's hope, that there's belief, and that things are better in the future when you focus on what you're doing in the here and now. So,
and something that you mentioned right at the beginning is that every course you've done with purpose. Why is that?
Because when I was probably slightly arrogant, Amy, when I was in school. I didn't understand my why. This is also why I'm putting an initiative together for education and for schools with a very amazing lady called Hayley. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be speaking to the government about that. But when I was in school, I didn't understand my why, didn't really know what was going on. I was this person that stuck up for other people. If I saw someone being bullied, I'd jump in and go, okay, we this is wrong. Someone needs to stop this. I was one of those people, but I didn't really understand my why and what I was doing. So when it came to my GCSEs, and being quite honest with you, I thought, it's a terrible thing to think, but it's true. Well, if the teachers have done their job, then I'll be able to pass. What a silly thing to think. That's what I thought when I was 15, 16 years old. I thought, well, I'll pass, right? If they've educated me well, what a silly thing to think. Thankfully, I did. I could have done a lot better in my GCSEs if I didn't have that way of thinking, but all of them were A to C. It was fine. The challenge for me was, what was I going to do next? Was it college? Was it courses? And what I finally realized is when I put my hand in my pocket and I really knew this is what I want to do, like a driving test, right? At the highest score possible on my theory test. Why? Because I wanted to do it. Because every part of my body said, I want to get in that car. I want to be able to have my freedom. I'm going to do the best that I can do with this money that I've invested. So we don't always promote education as an investment for individuals or students. They don't see the benefits a lot of what they're doing, and when they're more self-aware, they'll see that. But no one's having those conversations with them about their emotional well-being. Or some people are actually, me saying nobody, that's wrong. Some people are having those conversations. We need to do it more. And if there was emotional well-being classes as well as physical education classes, then we may have a very brighter future for a lot of people.
So what I'm hearing is that obviously the trauma has played a big part in your life of your father dying, and also of the experiences and the mistakes that you've made. By helping other people not have to go through that, will they have the same depth of understanding of why it's important as you have?
Interesting conversation. I think opening yourself up, you realize things a lot sooner. So I talk about the things that I talk about now, they were happening 15 years ago. So if I'd known maybe back then more of not to change, I wouldn't change anything. If I just understood myself and emotions and how I was feeling a lot more when I was younger, then maybe I wouldn't have got into certain situations, or I wouldn't have felt as bad about those situations. I would have been able to pick myself up a bit quicker, or had less sickness days maybe when I was younger. So I wouldn't say it's taken away that depth of experience, because at some point we're all going to lose loved ones. I'm saying that there's people out there that you can talk to about it, and don't feel lonely. Try not to think I can't talk to other people. It's about togetherness. So there's that part to your question. The other part is most people that I end up training, speaking to, coaching, counselling, have already gone through it. So they're in the quicksand. All I'm doing is reaching out a hand to help them come back up for air, come back to, wow, someone does want to listen. Someone does understand what I've been through and can help me get to a brighter place. So we're going to fail in life. We're going to do things. We're going to do mistakes. But listening to other people and the stories that they've come through can help it not feel so bad.
And what sort of level or number of people do you know suffer from mental health issues?
I would say every person in my life, we're talking friends, family, mums, sisters, brothers, every single person that I have within my close circle of friends has suffered with a mental health difficulty within the last 2 years. That's 100% of people that I know in my life. So whilst we're saying 1 in 4 people are presenting with a mental health illness or challenge, the other people aren't. And I said this to somebody the other day. In business, we talk about complaints. If there's one customer that's complaining, there's probably another 4 people that didn't bother complaining for them or to you. So you can't just look at it as one person that's making that complaint. There were others that couldn't be bothered to. And I think that's what we're talking about in terms of mental health as an analogy. To come back to it, is for every person that speaks up, there's people that aren't. So we all have mental health. You talk to anyone that's working in the sector, they'll tell you we all have mental health. So it starts with just looking after it and being aware of it. If you could go to a gym for mental health once a week, some people call that yoga, some people call it meditation, others it's a support group, others it's a Friday night having a few drinks with people you love and you can be honest with. If you can have honest conversations at least once a week with people that you are close to, that understand you, or maybe people that aren't close to you. If you want to reach out to someone like myself, it's good because you get a different perspective and you get someone that's there to listen to you. If people did that a lot more, the world would feel better. Wouldn't be necessarily better, they would feel better.
And I think it goes back to something you said earlier about we have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. And in the same way that people want to be healthy and fit in their physical health and they want to go to the gym, but they don't. And in the same way, they want to have their mental health in a good place too. But again, they just don't do it because it requires effort.
Because it's effort and it's a bit scary. I listened to Gary Vaynerchuk say the other day that he found meditation scary. He doesn't do it because he doesn't want to mess with his mind. I was like, hang on. Although I came back to that, meditation is really thinking about something and deep thought to something. I'm sure someone like Gary takes a moment to really think about what he's doing. It's about fear. We fear what we don't understand. And a lot of that fear can be reduced by knowledge. And if you go on the World Health Organization website, you'll see the definition of good health. It is mental, physical, and social. So at the moment in the pandemic, we haven't got the social. we are really being challenged with the social. We can do Zoom. It's not the same. We're human beings that like to interact with others. Physical, you can go to the gym all you like every day if you want. It's not going to fix your mind. It's going to help with the chemical release and the way that we use the way that cortisol is released into the body, the way that serotonin is released into the body, adrenaline. That can help. If you aren't looking after that third pillar of mental health, the rest of it will start to crumble. And it's the other way as well. You can look after all your mental health, but if you're not looking after your physical health and you're putting a load of junk food down your neck every few days, and you're, overweight and, unhealthy, then you're not going to be of complete good health. It's not just, to be in good health is not just merely not having infirmity or disease. It's about, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put those 3 parts in that triangle? And if it's at a 6 right now, what does a 10 look like to you? How are you going to what are you going to sacrifice though? You said it, it's hard work. What are you going to sacrifice to get there?
Well, I think there's a famous quote of, it doesn't cost anything to be kind, or it's so easy to be kind, so why don't you, kind of thing. I think there's a very poorly quote that I've just tried to relay from Dalai Lama. I just know that it's something along the lines of, it costs nothing to be kind. So
kindness costs nothing. Yeah. Maybe you're making the new Amy quote.
I hope not, because that was absolutely garbled. But in terms of being more self-aware and being more understanding in what you're doing and how you're operating and being more kind, with that, then you receive that, and the more you give, the more you receive, which is, we know that that's the way that we can. So the more you smile, the more people will smile back at you, and it just keeps on going. It's so simple, and those don't require much effort.
No, absolutely not. To be grateful for what we have. We hear people complain every day. You only have to jump on Facebook to see how many people are complaining. We hear people complain. When you're complaining through adversity and through something that is very wrong, that you can speak out. If you're complaining about things that you can change, and you're losing sight of what you have already in life. Don't need branded clothing. You don't need the best of everything. You don't need to have a Range Rover when you could get where you need to go in a Ford Focus as well. They're great. They're brilliant cars. I've had the chance to spend, I worked in automotive for a while, so I got a chance to experience different cars. But the point is, if you can be happy in you, you don't feel like other things need to fill that hole, and you can understand your own self-worth, you'll feel richer from not having much more than understanding and gratitude for your own life. In the world, even though we're going through a pandemic in the UK, we all have hot running water, electricity, we have a toilet that is inside, and many people have roofs over their head. I understand that homelessness is a major challenge in the UK as well, and thankfully a lot of things have changed for them since the pandemic, so there's been some good that has happened in change. We have to be grateful for what we have. We didn't have it 200, 300 years ago, and that's happiness starts there too. They say that if you're grateful and you make a list of at least 3 things that you're grateful for every day, and you do that for a week, that the results will last for 6 months, and you'll reduce your anxiety and your depression symptoms by 35% in a recent research study. So there's a lot to be said for just allowing yourself to be, and the things that you have in life, just loving them.
Oh, I love that. That's great. So your podcast, tell us about your podcast.
Oh, the podcast. It's brilliant. The more people I speak to on the podcast, Amy, and I know you're going to come on and talk on it, so it's going to be great to switch roles. The more people that I speak to, the more I get fired up and passionate to do what I do. So it's called the Hot Wagon Podcast. There's humans on the wagon. We're on a destination. I don't call them followers, I call them, or listeners, I call them hikers, because we're hiking somewhere. We're on a destination. We want to get to that top of that peak, and we want to keep going, no matter how fast or small or slow. But yeah, I interview guests and I call them hero sessions, which you will be one of them, because there are 7 Hot Wagon values and they're very much centered around its 7 H's. There's heart, humble, head, heart. It's so many. So with that, it's about having honest conversations with people that love people, that people that do what they do because they want to help others. And that's why I call it hero sessions. No, you don't wear a cape and they don't wear a cape, but it's about how can other people learn from the conversation I'm having with you? What do you do that really impacts other people? Why do you do what you do? And also, how can we openly talk about mental health in a way that if one person is listening, it will impact them? I talk about the starfish story all the time. If it makes a difference to throw in one starfish in when there's 20,000 on the beach, it's a big impact. Just have the right conversations with the right people and for the right reasons, and good will come of that.
Well, I really look forward to being on that podcast. And there's a lot of H's there. Is there a significance behind the H?
There is. My dad was called Hugh, so I wanted to really, and not just that, it is very much about the H, the heart and the head. I think it symbolizes me as well, of who I am. You can probably feel everything I do is with my heart. I will wear my heart on my sleeve. And I hid my heart away, Amy, for a very long time. I didn't trust people with me, and I became objective and not emotional, and I made mistakes in management because of that. And now my heart is out. It's not going back in.
Maybe it should be the Heart Wagon instead of the Hot Wagon.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Well, I look forward to doing that, and I'm going to go and see who's been on there before, to see who's been in my seat before I get on my wagon, to see the footsteps I'm following.
Definitely check it out. And yeah, if there's anyone else out there that would like to be a guest, would like me to be a guest, that's fine too. I don't like to start talking, but once I do, you can feel that once you let those wheels come off, just go for it.
I think it's really lovely having the energy in the room, and I know that people who are listening will be springing in their step listening to you, because you just have that sort of lovely sort of energy that you're transmitting, and that's what's so great. And I know they can't see you right now, but they can definitely hear you, and your voice has been very energizing for me, so I'm sure it's been the same for them. So how would people get in contact with you, Melissa?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on there, Melissa Curran. And I'm also on the website. Of course, the website. It's modernmindgroup.co.uk or .com. It'll take you to both. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Modern Mind Group. And also, obviously, the Hot Wagon podcast is also on Facebook and Instagram, just at Hot Wagon Ltd.
Fantastic. Well, I'll make sure they all go in the show notes so that people can see that as well. It's been incredible having you here, and I know that you will make a difference to people. I know that you're going to help other people to prevent them from going through what you've gone through, and remove the barriers, try and remove the stigma. There's a lot of work going on. I can see it all. So well done you. What's your final message today?
My final message today is, I'm deep in thought about this because I've got quite a few thoughts. What's on my mind? What I want to say to you is, when I started running, it was hard. And every step of the way, not my body, my mind told me to stop. My mind told me to stop. And if you can coach yourself to keep going, and your own mind is telling you not to, then you will be okay. And if you can't find a way to coach yourself to keep going, call me or call the Samaritans, because your life is worth it.
Thank you for listening to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlandson, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star Apple Podcast review. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook, and become a member of my inspiring, uplifting and positive Focus on Why Facebook group. I help people to focus on their why with clarity, uniting their passion with their purpose with a plan to create the life they truly desire. If you would like me to help you focus on your why, then please book a free 20-minute coaching call via calendly.com/Amy Rowlandson. And if you haven't already, please sign up for the Friday Focus weekly newsletter via my website, amyrowlandson.com. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.